Last episode was a doozy of action and heartwarming and awesome. While this episode slows down a little bit, it's not bad by any means, but it does begs the question on what is happening next. However, it does actually acknowledge one very nice thing. One thing I actually did not think we would acknowledge ever again. Because if you think about it, this was not referenced one single bit in season 2. And that is one simple question. What happened to the Xenomorphs? Well, this episode finally revealed that. Also, Fred Bug, aka Forager. Some people have criticized him entering this thing because, unlike Cyborg, Embryo, no, not Geoforce. Geoforce haven't gone through that much character development, and well, as you know, Halo, I mean, and maybe even some other characters. Forager went through little character development because he didn't really need it. But that's to say, he is not a flat character. He has gone through development. The fact is, unlike those other people, Forager, while a sad soul, was always a very kind-hearted man. Or bug, I mean. This episode shows also his maturity. He has always been kind, but now he is even more willing to be an outsider of what he already was. He is prepared to face the discrimination, because that's just how brave he is. So I actually like Forager as a character. This is the Angry Anime Fan, and this is Overwhelmed, the Young Justice outside this episode. In this one, we are following three different storylines, so to speak. The first is, of course, Artemis, feeling very conflicted and wanting to move on from Waller's death, sort of. So she calls Satana and who calls in Megan and Raquel in order to, she calls them in because Artemis needs friends to stand by. Artemis wants Satana to call in the after limbo where Wally is in order for him to talk to him. Elsewhere, Superboy takes Forager to Uranium City, where we actually meet some very familiar faces, disguised. We meet the mayor of the city, who turns out to be none other than a telepathic disguised Dubelix, as it was revealed that all the Xenomorphs have relocated to, Uranium City. They are still alive. And what's even more funny, or amazing in that matter, is that Superboy is now officially close to all of the Xenomorphs. What's also pretty fun is that the Xenomorph, I mean, of course, the Xenomorphs have gender, but we're introduced to one who is who is a lady, but is a very big, tall, Titan-looking creature that it's pretty difficult to guess that gender. But there's one thing that is actually very sweet, though. We meet a small Xenomorph, who of course have a name, but I of course forgot what that name is. And Superboy calls him his oldest friend. I think that is the same Xenomorph that we saw in that comic book many, many years ago. I thought Superboy never really liked those small Xenomorphs, but the fact that he calls him his oldest friend is incredibly sweet. This is a story on how Dubelix tells Forager on how they were all freed from liberated thanks to Superman and many more, and then formed this city and blended in. While they are still disguising themselves as other in order to scare, they are living their own lives and are facing it in the way they can. It is a very heartwarming moment, and this causes Forager, who now actually questioned if he should return to to New Genesis, to the Hive, or if he should stay in the Earth Hive. He realizes that while the glamour charm is disguising himself from who he really is, he's willing to take it off in order to confront the prejudice, even if he will, because he is an outsider, an alien outsider, and he will confront that as part of the outsiders. Then we're taken to another storyline, which is actually the reunion of the Markovian siblings, who have all returned, and the young Gregor is willing now to find a way to bring them back to Markovia. But then Baron Bedlam has somehow escaped. I actually think it was Lex Luthor who freed him, and has staged a coup at the place, causing a lot of the different happiness to end. Another side plot with the fact that with Artemis finally also through the illusion of Wally, which is actually a very sweet and emotional moment. The fact that she wanted to have a family with Wally. She officially moves on from this moment. It does create a sad moment though that once again M'gann manipulated the system. She created an illusion together with Satana's magic in order to force Artemis to move on. That is controversial, but I think it was that was one of the reasons why Satana took them in here, because she knew that Artemis had to move on, and that is true. But there is a second side plot with Metron returning and taking Cyborg and Halo, who, by the way, is actually talking in their um, father box and mother box voices when they are in the same world as Metron. Even Violet is taken, but she is surprisingly spared and saved. It is here, though, that Metron is calling them to his grandchildren and is very proud of the achievements they have done and how they evolved. In a way that is remarkably sweet for someone who only cares for the research like Metron. But it is also still Metron, so we shouldn't take that too lightly. However, he does warn Halo and Cyborg that they are the key to stopping Darkseid's plan, and the fact that Darkseid will be after them, implying that Season 4 is not gonna be friendly to Halo or Cyborg. Regardless, though, Baron Bedlam has overthrown Markovia. Lex Luthor refuses to have the Justice League gone through it at all. Something tells me the last episode of The Outsiders is not going to be a happy one. Regardless, this was not as awesome as the last episode, but it certainly did pull the thing here. And it really showed what kind of a character Forager are. And he is a character that will stand for what he stands for and fight a good fight, as well as proving he's a kind-hearted hero. We finally saw the Xenomorphs again. That was very refreshing. Artemis officially moves on from Wally's death, even though we saw Wally here. I think this episode is also meant to talk to us, I think this is Greg Weisman's way of saying, no, people, he will not ever come back. Wally is gone. You have to deal with it. It's worth noting that Jason Spacek voices Forager too, you know. So it's just to deal with it. But yeah, still, I liked it. But you can give me your thoughts if you have any.